Well, thank you, Neil, and welcome to everyone to this event on a rights-based approach to health. And this workshop has generated a lot of interest, and rightly so. It is a very interesting subject. So I would be surprised if more people didn't join us in the next few minutes for the session. The Health Creation Alliance is the leading national cross-sector movement improving health and well-being and reducing health inequity through health creation. We're a mix of professionals who work in many sectors at many levels in organisations, and people with lived experience of poverty, trauma and discrimination, and a variety of community leaders and members. And the thing that we do together is we look at how to create health, and in so doing, how to reduce health inequities. And we do that by looking through the community lens rather than the service lens. And that makes us different from many organisations in this space. Because when you look through the community lens, you see a lot of the social injustices that prevent people from getting access to what they need to be healthy. So the Health Creation Alliance has known for some time that health creation as a process is very powerful, but it is just part of the process of becoming healthy. It's just one element of that, a very powerful and important element. We also have known that if we have access to our human rights, and the rights-based approach that goes with that is also very important. But exactly what that means and how it works has been tricky to pin down. So I'm very grateful for David Aynsley, who is a member of the Health Creation Alliance and of C2, and who has what I'm calling an experience-based thesis on how a rights-based approach might work. And he's agreed to share it with us today. And I've learned a lot from David over the last few months discussing this. And we have built something around the rights-based approach into the manifesto. And you'll see it coming out in the actions for all of us and also in the actions for government, and an explanation of how that works with health creation. So just a few things before we start. If you haven't seen our recent manifesto, then please take a look. We published it 1 week before the election was announced, and we had a spring event. So do go onto our website and have a look for that. It will also be put in the chat, a link to the manifesto. If you're not already a member of the Health Creation Alliance, and I know many of you are, then please consider joining. It's free and you can join on our website, or Neil is also going to put a link into the chat. And also please, as well as putting your name and details in the chat line, then please let us know why you're interested in this particular event. We're always interested to hear how our members are thinking about the subjects and the themes that we talk about. And we will put a link to David's paper in the chat as well, but we're also sending you a copy in the next day or two, along with the video. So you should receive that soon. This is the first in a series of papers that we will be publishing, written by Health Creation Alliance members and partners, so that we can start a discussion around them. So if you're a member or a partner, or if you want to become one, and you have a good sense of something that you think will advance progress on health creation as business as usual for integrated care systems, then please get in touch, and we will consider your idea for a paper and to lead one of these sessions. So that's it from me, really. David has told me he's going to take about 30 minutes, in fact, 29 minutes, 53 seconds at the last count. And then after that, we will have a Q&A and a discussion time together. So I'm looking forward to this very much, and enjoy. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. A rights-based approach to health and well-being. Some of you may know about human social rights, some of you may not. But what I am going to do is I'm going to tell you a story, and that story will have human social rights weaving through it all the way, and health creation. And I suppose the thing to do is to see if you can pick out the human social rights once I've introduced them to you, and the sort of aspects of health creation as the story unfolds. which is not doing. There we are. So you may well all seen the Health Creation Alliance's manifesto, which has just been published. And if you've read through it, you'll notice that human social rights get mentioned quite a lot. This is on the right of the slide there, you see on page 1, there they are mentioned. The thing about human social rights is that if you're into the world of asset-based community development, human social rights are our most fundamental asset. What the problem we often have with them is we don't have access to those rights, but we do have the rights. Health creation gives us access to human social rights, and human social rights can create health. So this is about reciprocity, the creation of health through human social rights. I'm going to tell you a story about a dance charity I set up for children. It's based in Camborne in Cornwall, which is one of the most deprived areas in the country, and that's quite relevant to this presentation. We provide free dance workshops to children every week, have done for 19 years. I'm going to be talking in the first person because I'm never going to mention everyone that's been involved in helping us, and it's much easier for me just to sort of narrate the story through. Everyone that's helped us, they know who they are. But just to whet your appetites, here is a slide from the University of Exeter Medical School, a quote from them, which tells you about their findings and their conclusion into their research into the work that the charity does. The self-organization of community members around the paradigm of universal children's rights appears to have enabled the TR14, as that's the name of the charity, to adapt and thrive for almost 2 decades, contributing to child and adolescent well-being in an economically disadvantaged area in West Cornwall, the United Kingdom. And there's when you receive a copy of this presentation, you can open up that reference. That's how the University of Exeter Medical School put it. But the way I would put it is giving people access to their human social rights is something we do all the time because we're good at it. And we're good at it because we're used to it, and we're used to it because we do it all the time. And the thing about human social rights, or any human rights, is that they're there with us forever as long as we're alive. So we have to, if we're going to be a rights-based organization or rights-based health creation, we can't give up on people because the project's ended, because they've still got their rights. That's the longevity of rights. So I mentioned about deprivation and the indices of deprivation. Now, some time ago, a friend of ours in Camborne in Cornwall, which is where the story is based, went to her doctor's, and the doctor gave her a checkup. She's a retired nurse, she'd be in her 60s, and the doctor found that she had elevated blood pressure. And he said to her, "Don't worry, that elevated blood pressure is normal for Camborne. It's normal for people to have high blood pressure here. So it's normal for you to be slightly ill." And that's quite an interesting thing. I'm not criticizing the doctor. He's quite right. That's like the average blood pressure is higher. And Camborne, as I said, is a deprived community. And let's look at what that actually means to be in a deprived community. So the indices of deprivation, we've probably all heard of them being mentioned. Some of you may already know this. Provide a set of relative measures of deprivation for 32,844 small areas of population between about 1,500 people or 650 households across England, based on 7 domains of deprivation. The numbers are all combined using the following weights to produce an overall relative measure. So there are the weights, the weightings: income, employment, education, health, crime, housing, and environment. And they do a calculation, and they create basically a league table. The one with the place with the lowest score is the most deprived place in the country, and the one with the highest score is the most advantaged place in the country, which will have higher income, higher employment, higher education, high health outcomes, low crime, good housing, and a clean environment. So if we look at the deprivation map of of England, here it all comes. There are the 32,000 areas called lower super output areas. And if we expand the map like this, eventually we come to West Cornwall. And I'll just get there in a minute. And you can see that around Camborne here, which is where we're talking about, is in purple, which means it's in the 10% most deprived.
Hi, David.
places.
Just to let you know, I don't think the deprivation map has opened. We can only just see the holding slide.
Oh. Okay. Well, we'll shoot ahead then.
Yep.
So
great.
That's unfortunate. So the deprivation map, it actually shows. I can see it on my screen, but it shows you all the 32,000 places, and it shows you that Camborne is one of the most deprived places in the country. And just across the bay is St Ives, which is one of the least deprived places in the country. The point about that is, I used to be the police sergeant in St Ives, and then from St Ives I moved to Camborne. So I saw the difference, and I experienced the difference in deprivation in the two places. And the deprivation creates an industry, and I've created this little cycle here in which, when a place is identified as being deprived, needs are identified, and we then, if you follow the circle round, we do a needs assessment, like health needs assessment, or an education needs assessment, or a housing needs assessment, or whatever, and we find how deprived the places are. The place gets a grant. In the case of Cornwall, it was €1 billion from the EU, called Objective 1 funding. We've had other grants come in, and we've now got levelling up funding and all this stuff. And the grant turns into projects, and everyone's very grateful for the projects because they're normally all very good. People become used to them and entitled to them, and then the project ends and they all protest and get very angry. And then we go around the circle and again and again and again. And what happens is, this way of working creates clients and service users from a deficit entitlement-based approach, asking really, are you needy enough to be entitled to use our service? This way of working discriminates because it denies people access to their rights. Because only if you're needy enough do you get access to the services. The services aren't universal, yet human rights are universal. And then, so in my story, I ended up working in the town of Camborne. Here's an image of it. That's me, and that's some young people in the town. This image was actually set up by some young people from our dance charity, so it's not real. It was posed. But the key thing about what I found in Camborne when I got there was massive problem of drunkenness amongst teenagers. And I'm talking groups of 40 kids sitting in the park, drunk, absolutely drunk. And apart from the obvious antisocial behavior problems, which is what I'm going to talk about in a minute, because you'll hear on the film, the real problem was the children's health, and particularly the girls. They were so vulnerable in their drunkenness, and we knew about unreported rape, unreported assaults, all sorts of stuff was going on with this high level of drinking. The problem was so bad, we would seize the alcohol off the children. And the law's changed now, but back in the day, we seized their alcohol, put it in the police property store where it would go to be disposed of. The parents would come back the next day and say, give us our alcohol back. We had no choice but to return it because it was their property, and they immediately handed it over to the children. That was what we were up against, and you can imagine the health problems that those children were experiencing and what their life outcomes would be. And therefore, what the reciprocity there was, the deprivation caused the alcohol problem, which caused the deprivation, because they were never going to get into work or get through college or school, as you'll hear later. So what we did was we set up a dance charity. That's a huge long story in itself, but we set up free dance workshops for the children, using the police, using loads of other agencies, and tons of help from the Connecting Community C2 group. And you see the difference. They're the same children, by the way. That picture was made up of children that are in that picture. And what I'd like to do is just play you a quick BBC soundtrack of some of those children talking about their experience. This is only about 6 months into the project.
Good morning, it's 7 o'clock on Friday the 26th of January. This is You and Me on BBC Radio Cornwall. We reported on a scheme in West Cornwall which is helping to reduce antisocial behaviour and improve the health of teenagers. Remember that? Well, police officers had started dance classes for the youngsters in Cambourne and it seemed to be working. Today we have confirmation of that because it's made a real difference. The team of officers has been shortlisted for a national award. BBC Cornwall's community producer Nina Davey sends this report.
Well, normally we'd be drinking, smoking, going around the town causing trouble and a riot and stuff. But now, like, everyone's calmed down because you don't want to get in too much trouble because otherwise you might not be allowed to go to the dance workshop.
There is simply no time to misbehave at a typical TR14ers dance workshop. The children dance at up to 200 beats a minute, and that's for about 5 hours. As a result of this, the assistant head teacher at Cambourne Science and Community College, Beatrice Dyer, says she's witnessed some positive changes in pupil behaviour and general attitude.
It is a transformation, and some of our youngsters who have been very much under the influence of alcohol have actually stopped drinking. They're not sort of binge drinking as they were because they've actually had a positive role model to follow.
I think most people have stopped smoking. Well, some people have. Just because of the dance workshop, which is
I've seen
quite a
one
good
person
thing.
having a quick fag sneakily, but that was when I first went there, and now I'm best mates with them and they don't smoke in there now. It's literally, they used to be like craving a fag, but now they don't.
There are now 380 children on the TR14ers books. Initially, 1 in 4 of them had asthma. Hazel Stuteley, who deals with community matters for the Health Authority, says as fitness levels grow, many of the children are now able to dance without being dependent on their inhalers. She strongly believes health in the community has improved as a result, and that's why she nominated the police team for the National NHS Health and Social Care Award.
They've just hit so many targets. It's had a ripple effect, if you like, I believe, for the whole community. The kind of mischief and antisocial behaviour that was happening out on the streets is low crime. It actually has a high impact on the health of residents that live there. It induces a lot of fear and concern amongst the residents that have to witness it.
As well as smoking, all junk food is banned on dance days. A local supermarket donates 10 cases of fruit to each dance class. This healthy food proved a shock to some of the youngsters who hadn't eaten fruit which wasn't tinned.
At the time I thought I don't really want to eat fruit, and then when I actually got there I was like, so I thought I might try a bit, and then they, instead of giving us like fizzy drink, they just gave us water instead of fizzy smoothies and like that.
Yeah, so it gets your energy up, that's the main thing.
Sometimes if you dance and after fizzy drink it makes you sick enough.
Yeah, I'm not so much for the water, but I do like their smoothies, and after that actually my mum did go out and buy a smoothie maker and quite a lot of fruit now, so now I have lots of smoothies.
PCSO Mike Kieran says being shortlisted for the award is a great boost to the team who have worked hard to help the children help themselves.
And they look far more healthier, they're more involved now in activities. Every opportunity they seem to get, they dance. We normally see them out playing football, involved in sports now as well, which wasn't always the case.
Pride in the town and in themselves has been an ongoing problem for youngsters in Cambourne. Now, through the TR14ers, they celebrate each other's achievements and help each other by working as a team.
I've seen really big improvement in myself. I don't fall out of my family as much. I'm always going to every dance workshop and I love it. I think it's so good.
I'm not as shy as what I used to be.
No. It builds your confidence up.
When Danny turned the Christmas tree lights on, we all performed there, and some people were really scared, but we did it.
That report on the TR14ers was compiled by our community producer.
Okay, so you heard the voice of some of the children there. They're probably all grown up now. That was done several years ago. But we've now had over 3,000 children come through the TR14ers. Interesting to say that they felt they were getting confidence and they felt connected and all these things that they didn't have before. And a year after that was taken, we were filmed by the BBC Two Daily Politics show. I'm not going to show you the whole programme, but I'll just show you a few minutes of it, maybe 8 minutes of it. It's quite interesting stuff, and it gives you some idea of the scale and what we were up to.
continuing the search for unsung heroes across Britain. Giles is out on Neighbourhood Watch.
And we're live on Neighbourhood Watch in one of the most deprived parts of the UK, where a community policeman in one small Cornish town thought that he could tackle antisocial behaviour with a small band of volunteers, and guess what? Very little funding. And you know what? He was right.
For the past 2 months, we've been keeping an eye on how local people are making a real difference in their communities. Thousands of volunteers across the country give up their time to help out people who are usually ignored by the politicians. But we've sent Giles out to neighbourhoods around Britain to track down those very people. He's out on Neighbourhood Watch today in Cornwall.
Do you know what, Jenny? Actually, I couldn't be bothered, so I've come to the pub. Only joking, there's a reason we're here. We're in Camborne in Cornwall. Now, this is a former tin mining community, and like a lot of former mining communities, has had its fair share of deprivation. 3 of the wards here are the most deprived in the UK, and there was nothing for the kids to do. And when there's nothing for the kids to do, what do? Well, all those things that politicians now umbrella term antisocial behaviour. So what are they doing about it? Well, the answer is they're dancing. This whole dance group is a community project. It's called the TR14ers, based on their own postcode, TR14. Now, the first meeting, they thought they'd get about 20 people. But they didn't. They got 125. And via text and MSN, it has grown and grown and grown. These guys are the trainers, and every week they train. During the school holidays, they get masses and masses of people. We were here last night, it was packed. They also promote healthy eating by eating fruit, and they can also have a fruit smoothie if they wish. Save that for me later, ladies. Now, one of the reasons it's a big success is there's a man who dedicated himself to doing something like we've seen on Neighbourhood Watch, and he's over here. This is Dave. Dave, you're the community policeman here. This all started over a drink. It was quite apt we were in a pub, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were just in a pub, and a friend of mine who's a choreographer, we're looking at Camborne, and we thought, there's so little social provision here and so much antisocial behaviour, what are we going to do about it?
I wouldn't have thought of dance straight away, I have to say. Did it work?
Well, we made lots of mistakes, and it was a difficult journey, but we made it, and I think it's working now. Yeah.
It certainly seems to be working now, but how do you know it's working? What are you proud of?
Well, there's loads of facts and figures that, you know, from the school or from the police, but what I'm really proud of is local people tell us it's transforming their lives and the lives of their children.
Did it's doing well now. Did you get lots of backing and colleagues helping you out to start with?
It was an uphill struggle.
That's a no, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was hard work to start
Very
with.
hard work,
But
yeah.
they're listening now because the Prime Minister had a word with you, did he not?
He did last week, yeah. He was very interested in
What I
what we're
suppose
doing.
you really want is to have a word with a new Prime Minister. Because funding's always the problem, isn't it?
Well, funding is a problem, but what we've discovered from the government's figures is that any child that is labelled as a persistent young offender costs the state £170,000 per year. We reckon anecdotally we've taken 10 out of that, which is £1,700,000 to save to the state this year. And what I would like is one of those £170,000 to help us keep this going.
And then you keep this going and expand it, because it seems to be working. Dave, thanks very much indeed. You're going to hear from the kids a little bit later on in the programme. And remember, we're here because one of you wrote in and said we should be here. Keep those emails coming in. We're going to be doing more of this. bbc.co.uk/daily politics. Have a look at that and get in touch with us. Join us later for something amazing. Trust me, it is.
For more from Giles. He's been out and about finding the people in neighbourhoods across Britain who are the real local heroes today. He's on Neighbourhood Watch in Cornwall. Giles, you promised us something fantastic. You're not going to dance, are you?
No, I'm not going to dance. I don't need to. We're here in Cornwall with some really remarkable people. This is a dance project called TR14ers. And these are just the trainers. These guys came in just on Wednesdays. Last night we were here. I promised you something incredible. Take a look at this.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
I come here because it gets me out and about and it keeps you active and you don't get stuck inside, watch TV and go and play computer games.
Let's get it started in here.
My friend's been telling me all about it and I was thinking, dancing, not my sort of thing. I'd rather stay home being bored and everything. But I just thought I'll come along. And I came along, I've seen all this and all the fruit and the smoothies. It's just brilliant.
There's a big buzz, everyone gets on, everyone's just so friendly, happy and enthusiastic to dance. I just think everyone loves it.
Inch by inch with a new solution.
Me and a lot of my friends were we hang around town and drink and stuff, but then when Dance Workshop came, it did stop a lot of us.
There's nothing to do, it's where everyone lives, they've always got signs no games, but then there's a whole massive space. But it's just better to just come down here and
just do whatever really, because you mess about down here, have fun, and also do what you love.
I used to be quite lazy until this started, and then there was a lot of kids like being naughty on the street, and since this opened, no one's been naughty, everyone's been coming.
I used to just sit out there and smoke in the streets. That's what we normally do, didn't we?
Yeah.
We don't anymore, we come here.
Yeah, we always come here.
Brilliant.
Fab Wicked!
It's such a simple idea, and it worked. It got them off the streets and got them healthy. Let me introduce you to Julie. You're one of the mums here, but you've also been involved from the start.
Yeah, from very day one.
Day one, you expected 20 and you got 120.
Yeah, we got quite a few. We got over 100, and it was a very successful day. And at the end of the day, coming towards the end of the day, a parent came up to me really upset, and I thought, oh my God, something's gone wrong. And I went up to her and managed to calm her down. And she went and said to me, I've never seen my daughter look like this before, because she's always been bullied, she's always had problems. I know she's seen her like this, so we all support our time for them, and not for anyone else.
What a testament that is.
Oh,
Thank you very much indeed. Come and meet some of the kids themselves. As I said, these are the guys who train the other kids. Lucia, if I can just grab you a moment. What do you get out of this?
Watching the young kids just dancing to the moves that we choreographed ourselves, so it's really good.
Kind of creative for you too.
Yeah, definitely. It brings like a big buzz to us.
In that leadership role, have you got more confidence now?
Definitely, absolutely.
Because you wouldn't have talked to the camera before, would you?
No way.
I'll let you get on. Semilia is busy down here. We'll have to drop down a little. You used to stay out quite late for a 9-year-old when it was then, weren't you?
Yeah.
What sort of things do you get out of this?
Well, I used to always look forward to the letters coming through the post, and then I know I've got something to look forward to, and then when I just come here, it's great.
And also, you are on best behaviour so that you can come, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I try to be.
You don't look like a reprobate to me. I'll let you carry on dancing. I'll introduce you to a reprobate over here, though. Jodie, it is fair to say you were something of a naughty girl in your time.
Yeah, because like on the estate, because we had no what to do, we just used to like make loads of noise and cops would have to come down. And I started drinking because we know what to do, and I used to get in trouble with police. But when I came here, it all changed, because now I concentrate on my dancing rather than just going out doing nothing.
Such a simple idea, and it really works.
Yeah.
I'll leave you to it. Right. One of the dance leaders. This is Michael. Now, I have to let you know, he was known as Pie once along the time because people weren't very kind about the weight.
Yeah.
Having said that, you're a fit, lean, mean dancing machine now.
Yeah, doing this has really helped me come along with my fitness, social skills, and just leadership, really.
And you lost how much?
About 1.5 stone.
There's people out there who'd love to lose 1.5 stone. Thank you very much.
So, there's more of that, but I think we've made the point, and you can see the health that's being created by giving the children access to healthy activity. That's basically what's going on there. So you might be asking, well, what's all this got to do with human rights? And in a nutshell, the European Social Charter of 1961, so this is pre-EU, was developed at the Council of Europe, and it provides us in the 46 member states of the Council of Europe with our human social rights. And I'll just show you this small link. I'm not going to show you all the films on it, but if you open up this link when you get this copy, there's a whole bit of information and a whole load of different films that you can watch, which basically explain all the different rights, which I haven't got time to go through today. But the key thing about human social rights is they're human rights by international treaty. They're emancipatory, they free us, they're empowering, and they're transformative. And if you look at those stories by the children and about the children, you'll see that they've been freed up from their horrible lives of drunkenness in the street. They've been empowered to be leaders, and they transformed into healthy young people. So giving them access to their right to health, which we'll talk about in a minute, has done that. And they require that enjoyment of the below mentioned rights are guaranteed without discrimination. And here are some of our human social rights. The right to health, which we're obviously talking about today. We've also got the right to a clean environment, the right to adequate housing, the right to education, the right to a standard of living, and the right to social protection. And the right to health is, as I say, is obviously the one we're interested in today. It's Article 11 of the European Social Charter, which is that everyone has the right to benefit from any measures enabling him to enjoy the highest possible standard of health attainable. So if we do something to give people access to their right to the best possible health, we will create health. And it's as I say, it's a reciprocal equation, really. Create health, give them access to health, it creates health. So I'm going to tell you this story. Get your tissues ready. This is Tia's story. Now, Tia this is a more recent film. Tia is was a dance leader. There she is on the left, aged about 16, with a young TR14 aged about 6, who she was guiding through a dance routine. And Tia is now a trustee, and she's of the charity. She's 1920 now, I think. She joined us when she was 8, and she's a professional dance teacher up in Manchester. But we're just going to play a very short film that she made for some funders. It's only a minute long, but it just goes to show the transformation that can be achieved by giving people access to their right to the best possible health and creating health for them.
Hiya, I'm Tia Finelli, and I'm a trustee and director of the TR14ers. Unfortunately, I can't be at the meeting today because of work, so I thought I'd do a little 1-minute video for you just to explain a little bit about myself. So from an early age, I suffered a lot of trauma, which required help and assistance from Penhaligon's friends. Since joining the TR14ers at the age of 8, they improved my mental health massively, and if it wasn't for the wonderful charity, I would need NHS treatment and support just to make sure that I keep afloat. TR14ers is such a wonderful charity, and they've saved my life and my mental health, and I'm so grateful for them. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be going to dance school in Manchester, which I'm very proud of and very excited for. So I hope you enjoy the meeting with the hiya.
And this image here is of 2 of our young ladies, Alicia and Casey. Alicia on the left, Casey on the right. It's just an image of them showing off their energy, if you like. But I'm going to show you this link at the bottom. It's a film made by Dr. Alex George, who's a bit of a TV personality doctor, gets on telly a lot, for children in need, who are our sort of main funders. We'll just have to get this one going a bit.
TR14ers is a youth-led community dance charity supported by BBC Children in Need. Based in Camborne in Cornwall, they provide a free street dance workshop to young people in the area. To see how TR14ers have made a difference in young people's mental health, I've got some quotes here from some of the 3,000 plus young people who have benefited from their street dance workshops. This one's from Casey, age 16. I was quite shy as I turned up on my own at first, but I felt so welcomed, and if I was too shy to ask for help, they'd come round and ask what help we needed. So I carried on going, and my passion's grown as the years go by. It's such a confidence thing, isn't it, starting something new? And sometimes we're afraid to go along for the first time, and once you've overcome that barrier, you realise, I can do this. And it's such a rewarding feeling to feel that you're developing, you're growing, your confidence is building, and you're learning something new. Thank you, Casey. This is from Ava, age 12. You get support there. If you have something you need to talk about, you can talk to a coach or to a leader. You feel very supported. I couldn't live without dance. If I've had a bad day or a rubbish school day, it gives you something to look forward to. We just know that movement's so amazing. And whether that's going outside for a walk, doing exercise in the gym, whether it's dancing, any form of movement is good for the body, but it's also good for the mind. This is from Shannon, age 17. When you're young, it can be difficult to say how you feel and to find the right person to talk to, which is why TR14ers is so nice, because you have great connections there, and it doesn't have to be your parents. It gives you other people you can trust and share things with. Now, we know that our parents are a great source of support. They're an important source of support, but it's really important to have other people that you can talk to, that you can spend time with, that is outside of that circle. And we know that. I mean, the evidence is pretty clear. Young people, yes, they need good support at home, they need good support at school, but having somewhere else to share their experiences with or create new connections that they're safe and they trust is so invaluable. TR14 is one of the many BBC Children in Need funded projects across the country, doing incredible work in supporting children.
Okay, so it's listening to that. You might have picked out the 3 C's of health creation, which are in the Health Creation Manifesto. It's almost like you read it, but I don't think you did. The 3 C's that people need: connections, confidence, and control to be well. Point is that giving people access to their right to the best possible health can give them connections, confidence, and control to make them well. And what I'd like to show you is just the link between deprivation and human social rights. Remember the domains of deprivation right at the beginning of the presentation? They were health, income, employment, education, crime, and housing, and environment. And some of our human social rights are health, standard of living, education, social protection, adequate housing, and a healthy environment. Goes to show you, in places that are described as deprived, people don't have access to some of their human social rights. Give them access to their human social rights, the places will become less deprived and you'll create health. And this is just a little picture of Health Created. That's the young people there. They won a dance competition last year. It came first in a national dance competition at Alton Towers. You can imagine the health that was created to get them there. And finally, I know just overshot by a couple of minutes, but there is some further reading which you can look at with all the links attached when you get a copy of this slide, and they're all on here. So in summary, giving people access to their human social right to the best possible health creates health. Health creation gives people access to their human social rights. It's a reciprocal arrangement, and we can all be much healthier if we do it that way. So that's it. Thank you.
Hello, David.
Hello, right.
Well done. Thank you for that. That was excellent and a good grounding, I think, in human social rights and how they how by looking to them and applying a process of health creation, or how we can work with that to create health. So I think absolutely right. Health creation is the process through which this happens. You could see that in the CR14ers, but the human social rights are there. They're our shared asset on this, and I think one of the things I just want to tease out with you, David, is what exactly you're asking people to do as a result of this. We have written into our manifesto that one of our personal actions is for everyone to make ourselves familiar with our human social rights, because if we know about them and if we know that they exist and we are working in systems, we can help to change that system to make sure that we provide that people with that human social right. We've also written it in our manifesto under asks of a new government, and we're going to be asking the new government to develop accountability mechanisms to make a reality of our human social rights, so that the systems that we have in place, all the things that David showed in one of those earlier slides, don't work against us giving people access or getting access ourselves to our human social rights. David, you can tell me if I've got that right, and then we'll come on to questions. So I hope you've got a few questions for David. But David, just in 30 seconds, is that about right? Have I picked up from you?
Before David, before we do that, can you stop sharing your screen? So, yes, yeah, I think it's at the top right-hand side, and then that's perfect. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, so I would say it's really a frame of mind, if you like. If you anything you're doing, if you think, oh, actually, I'm giving people access to their human social rights, it kind of empowers you to do it, and it's more so than I'm just doing a good thing. And to do it, you've got to know you've got the human social rights, and we've all got them. And the only qualification we need to have those rights is to be a human. And the difference between us is that we have different access. And it's just about creating access to that. That's all it is. It's a frame of mind.
Thank you for clarifying that. So we've got a lot of comments, very complimentary comments in the comments box, and we've got a hand up from Matthew here. If everyone would like to turn on your videos, that would be great. It'd be great to be able to see faces and see, to sort of talk to each other. So Matthew, I'm going to come to you with your question. Thank you.
Thanks very much, and nice one, David. I'm also in Cornwall. I'm in sunny Penryn at the moment, and thank you very much for that. The question is, so I love the rights-based approach, and we've looked at it in the food space as well. My question is, David, obviously you've worked with the forces of law and order yourself, and what's apart from kind of asserting the moral authority of these international charters, are there any practical ways of using the rights as a means of achieving, securing resource or of getting policy changes in amongst local authorities or the criminal justice system or whatever? So what I'm asking you is, can you translate the sort of the macro rights picture that you've outlined, and how do you make practical use of that to get resource and make change in local systems? Thank you.
Okay, so the first barrier is that the UK government has not signed the elements of the European Social Charter that enable us to make complaints. So therefore, we have to find a different way. So in Cornwall, I know who you are, Matthew, actually, but yeah. So in Cornwall Council, we have a children's rights representative, and that's where to go. There are people that is their job. But the key thing is that you can't make a complaint against our government because they've taken that element away. But that's a good thing, because I don't think that legal battles are the best way to create health. I think the best way to create health is to work to create health. So yes, find those people who are interested, whose job description includes it, and get on and do it, I would say, rather than looking for the legal remedy, which generally there aren't legal remedies.
Yeah. So often when we think about rights-based approach, we think of a bit of a combative sort of zone, if you like, or space, but actually it doesn't have to be that way. It can be really purposeful, and we can move towards that, and we can all decide to do that collectively. I wonder if anyone else has questions or points to make, or just things to say. Has anyone else got a different way of thinking of a rights-based approach? I'd really be interested to hear if you have. Ash.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't find my raising hand button, but I think that I noticed in that video, it talked about how, or you yourself, David, may have talked about how you would take away the alcohol from the kids. And then, I don't know if I mistaken when I heard you, but you say that the parents would come back, take it from you, and basically be the conduit for the kids to get it back again.
Yeah.
So that kind of showed me that there's like a certain mindset there. Maybe an entrenched mindset. So basically, my thing is, even if there are these rights there that people can get access to, is it a point where some people will be of such an entrenched mindset, as you have described there, especially when they find out that there's no legal enforcement behind it? Isn't there a risk that they wouldn't want to access it anyway?
Yeah, some people do precisely that, Ash. But what we found with the children was when they came in, they had a choice. Either they joined in with the dance, or they went off with the drugs dealers and the alcohol pushers, and they tended to want to join in with the dance in their thousands. They preferred that. They had the choice, and they looked at both choices, and they went for the better choice. And those kids are parents now, because that was quite an old film. And and their children come to us. So you're right. It's not like a magic cure, but it does change things. It does transform things. And
that sounds to me like you had gotten to that sample of kids early enough. Now you had mentioned another sample of people that are already in the game. So for those who are making money off of these illegal activities and are normally the producers of the crime in their area, though they are the minority, what compels them to want to access that instead of making money?
I don't know the answer to that. All that I do know is we took away some of their customers.
Okay, thank you. Interesting dialogue there, and maybe a little bit of mystery there, but there's some positive energy and force coming through as well. Tom.
I hope my recording comes through clearly. There you go. David, it's great to have examples working together. It's a good thing. Any local community, whoever's part of that. I'm sorry I missed the start of it, so if I missed something here, come back to me. So I don't, for all levels of society, citizens, as authorities, agencies, as workers, yes. But I don't share your conclusions that we have to necessarily look at avoiding what I call a legal, we may call a combative approach. Because if you don't do that, the authorities, I just don't buy it personally. It can all be done by please and thank you for a nice table or you initiative for every police. It doesn't work like that. I'll give one example in which powerful campaign able people and other people involved in the NHS protested against the police and won, despite NHS resistance in they accepted it, and that always been called campaign, which Jack, I can send you links about that. It's complaining about the way of involvement, police in monitoring people in medical. That was challenged very strongly and successfully, although all the reports turns out you through in the old style, not by being nicey. So, an example of work together. We all want that.
Tom, it's Neil here. I'm really sorry. You're breaking up. It's quite challenging to hear what you're saying.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I know that. Yeah, maybe try that. See if that works. Thank you.
So, Neil, I'm sorry about that. No, I think let's repeat that David's general approach is right. We've all got to work together with the society at all levels. So I get that. And I missed the start of it. So I'm really positive for that friendly chat at all different levels. He must retain a legal challenge. And that's not just through the European Social Charter, that's through the uncovering evidence in British law. I gave an example of the Stop Sin. Not be aware, you check it out. Coalition.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Tom. I'm afraid we're still not able to.
Right. I've got the details.
Yeah, would you like to drop something in the chat?
I can still answer it, Neil, because I got the
point.
Yeah, if you've got the gist, great. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for your contribution.
Right, it's a very good point, Tom. And the key thing is that what I was saying was we don't have legal redress to the Council of Europe's complaints procedure over the European Social Charter because that was taken away. We can do lots of other things and take legal action, and there's no reason why not. It's just that in terms of giving people access to the human social rights, you've got to give them access, and there's no point complaining that you can't. You just got to do it. And that's the nicey bit, but I can tell you it's really hard work, and I can also tell you that an awful lot of people try and stop you as soon as you start doing well. And so I take your point, but it is good to use legal things to make things happen, but you can't with these rights because the government took it away.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Tom, for raising that, and David. And I think that I am interested in other ideas around what a rights-based approach might consist of. So if you have another idea about this and want to be in touch, that would be great, because we this is about a conversation and understanding this much better. But I think that kind of knowing about them and about the process of how rights can be in many circumstances achieved for people through the health creating process, I would imagine should be something that energizes people. Of course, we know there are lots of barriers there. We've also talked about barriers in our manifesto, by the way, and about how it's a leadership role to unpick and remove those barriers. So there's no sort of we're not suggesting this is an easy thing. It's difficult, but it's actually possible. And if everyone can play their role in that, we are a movement after all. Then that makes it more possible, and it makes it more what we're going to do. Whereas rather than maintain this ridiculous system that we currently have with gatekeeping access to services, which prevents people from getting access to the things they need. So Hazel, lovely to have you here today, and thanks for joining.
Oh gosh, I couldn't keep quiet after that, could I? Thank you, David. It's wonderful. I saw in the chat that people were saying, well, how do you how do you get funding? I just wanted to say I've been a patron. I've watched this. If I'm proud of anything in C2, I think TR14 is it's just so close to my heart, and I've watched it grow and evolve. I want you all to know how incredibly difficult that's been. Getting funding, Dave, we've been so close to having to close so many times, haven't we? Wouldn't you think, guys, it would be easy to get funding for something that we've got university research backing, we've got the evidence, we've got the voices of the children. So here I want to pay public tribute to David's leadership, because it's been extraordinary. I mean, he's been through some hellish times with the police, and health creation is hard. It's getting easier because of your organisation, Maren, and all of you in the Health Creation Alliance. It's getting heard more. But back in those early days, my goodness, the resistance was titanic. Let me just say this. But the fact, I also want you to understand too, hope you pick this up, about the significant brain changes that happen for those young people. And I'm in touch with them now, and when I go there, and I can't get there as much as I could, but I'm granny TR to them now, because they're second generation, third generation, I reckon we're getting to, Dave. We won't be far off. Yeah, very close. But I hope you all got that they self-choreograph, that they create their own moves. They are not, there's not some funded choreographer who comes in and do this, do this, do this. They create. Can you imagine what's going on in those kids' brains? All those new nerve pathways. That's why they're well. It's just been extraordinary to see. And the fact that the young people run it for young people. They're self-organised. Dave and the chair do the most incredible job of hands-off leadership, if you like. It's all in the young people's hands. They make the decisions, and they pass this down to their peers and generation to generation. It's just extraordinary, and I just wanted you all to realise, I think it's ours, certainly mine, and I know it's I know I speak for the University of Exeter, Professor Katrina Wyatt, relational professor of she's relational professor. We think it's the best example of health creation on a mass scale that's lasted so long in the country. So I'm going to leave it there.
Thank you, Hazel. And just to say that the TR14ers did win an award, a Health Creation Award in 2017, one of the ones that we gave that year, because it is truly inspiring. But what I was going to say is it's all about the 3 C's, helping people connect with each other rather than with those drug dealers, building their confidence, you saw that in bundles in the videos, and enabling them to take control. And that's really what Hazel emphasised is the leadership. We put this as again in our manifesto as an example, because it is so good, and I've called it dance leadership, because it's the leadership that actually makes the difference. It's giving the young people, the leadership roles on the board, etc., and they present and they go and do, they run it. Obviously supported by one or two other individuals, but the fact that they're taking control of something like that they really enjoy is part of taking control of their own lives and environments and their own futures. So I think that there's the 3 C's is writ large in there. Obviously, in our framework, we have the 6 features of health creating practices as well, that hopefully you saw come through there. Listening and responding, that's what systems have to do. They have to respond as well as listen. Truth telling, that reality, that the honesty there. Strength focus, what people are good at, enabling them to develop that, and being, the self-organizing, helping people to connect and develop the leadership here. Reciprocity, that's a really important element of health creation, because it's about the give-get. What do those young people get, and what are they giving back as well? It's two-way, and power shifting and power sharing, which is what Hazel and David and others have done. So the 6 features of health creating practice. If you're a commissioner, or if you know commissioners and you think, well, they'd never commission anything like this, or how do you tell a good version of something like this from one which is just a project which is going to come to an end, and suddenly everything's disappeared and you're going to lose trust with the community? How can you tell the difference? Well, we have a framework that and a diagnostic that enables you to do that. So we can help commissioners to be able to spot what is health creating, what isn't health creating from all this activity. So we have to sort of draw a distinction between those 2 things. So I've just really explained that, because that is, health creation isn't just the VCSE sector, or it's not just community action. It's how you do it that matters, and the framework it guides you in doing it in the way that is going to enable people to take control, and that's what makes the biggest difference, and it's what makes it sustainable. So we're very clear about that. I would love if someone else we've got a minute left. If anyone else has any comments or anything to add, or any questions or any, if you want to say, well, I've got a different idea about a rights-based approach, please get in touch. Please write it in the chat, or please say it now. It would be great to hear that. It looks like we're done for today, and it's exactly 1 hour. So thank you. Unless Hazel, you wanted to say anything else? I saw a hand up, but I think Rahima. Hi, Rahima. Lovely to see you here, and hope we'll see you again at another session sometime. And everyone, thank you for your time.
Can I have just a quick final word, Maren? And David didn't say this or show this slide, but I'd like to tell you all about Amber and Alex, who went and rocked the Strasbourg Conference of Human Rights. They opened it, they spoke, they absolutely rocked that hall of how many people, David, were at that conference?
It was the European Youth Conference. There was 300 people there, ambassadors, government ministers, the whole lot.
Yeah.
And, I didn't talk about my involvement in Strasbourg. I'm heavily involved in the European Youth Centre at Strasbourg. But yeah, we've been giving health creation back to the Council of Europe.
Thank you. I just wanted to finish with that.
In the further reading, you'll see it in one of the pamphlets.
Yeah, thank you. So do enjoy the reading when you receive that, as long as we've got your email address either in the chat or in the member database, then we'll be in touch. And thank you to David. Thanks very much, David, for imparting your knowledge and expertise around human rights, human social rights, and we're very grateful for that. And if you've got an idea for another theme for a paper, the next one, I can't tell you the date because he's just told me he can't do it, but the next one is Peter Hay, who's here today, talking about how we should not extract profit from mental health, children's services or adults services, through a property model. And if you're interested, if you might have heard various things in the news and not in the recent past about this, but I would say that Peter's as good an expert as any you've heard. So that will be on a date coming soon, and we look forward to that. So thank you everyone for coming today, and we've enjoyed having you, and do come again. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you. Bye-bye.